Welcome to The Explainer. In the world of fintech, some days are, well, they're pretty quiet. But then you get a day that feels like a blockbuster trade deadline. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. We've got three giants making three absolutely massive, industry-shaking moves.
And this quote? It just nails the energy of what went down. We're not talking about some minor software updates here. No way. We're talking about three huge announcements that are seriously shaking up the industry and pushing fintech into completely new territory.
All right, so who are the big players in this story? First, you've got the Latin American giant Nubank, and they're trying to become a full-blown US bank. Then there's Stripe. Get this, they're basically launching a stablecoin factory for pretty much everyone. And rounding it out, we've got Robinhood, taking its, let's say, controversial prediction markets and going global. I mean, each one of these moves is a massive swing for the fences. And really, this gets to the core of what's going on, right? All three of these companies are just stretching the definition of finance. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, what's legal, and what's coming next. And you better believe regulators everywhere are being forced to pay very close attention. Okay, first up, let's talk about Nubank. They're Latin America's fintech champion, and they're making an incredibly ambitious play to crash the party here in the US market. So to really get the scale of this, you've got to understand that Nubank is already a titan. I mean, we're talking about a Brazilian unicorn with a staggering 120 million users. But this move, which is being led by co-founder Cristina Junqueira, isn't just about owning their home turf anymore. Oh no, this is about stepping onto Wall Street's home court. It's a huge, huge leap from being a regional hero to a global competitor.
So what's the game plan here? Well, everything, and I mean everything, hinges on getting a US bank charter. Think of it like the ultimate power-up in the world of finance. It is an incredibly elite club to get into, but if they pull it off, they can start funding their operations with cheap US deposits, they can offer a whole menu of banking products, and, this is a big one, they can even custody digital assets under US law. That last part alone is just a massive stamp of legitimacy.
And that brings us to this analogy, which is just perfect. It's like a star soccer player leaving their home league to go play in the toughest, most competitive league in the world. The US market can absolutely make you a legend, but man, it has a long, long history of breaking even the most promising international talent. This is the absolute definition of a high-risk, high-reward play. So you have Nubank trying to pull up a chair at the traditional banking table. But our next player, Stripe, they're not interested in that. They're trying to build a whole new table altogether. See, they're not just focused on moving money around anymore. They're trying to fundamentally change how money is even created. And how are they doing that? With a new service they're calling Open Issuance. Now, what that means is it lets basically any business create or mint its own stablecoin. That's a crypto token that's pegged to something stable like the US dollar. One source called it the Kinkos of custom currency, and that is just a fantastic description. Because Stripe is doing all the hard stuff in the background, the custody, the compliance, the security, so other companies can just easily spin up their own branded tokens. And let's be clear, the market they're jumping into here is absolutely massive. The stablecoin market is already worth over $160 billion, and it's growing like crazy. So with this move, you have to realize Stripe isn't just trying to grab a piece of the pie, they're trying to sell the ovens to every single baker in town. So what this really boils down to is that Stripe just became the Amazon Web Services of token issuance. Seriously, think about that for a second. Just like AWS provides the fundamental cloud infrastructure for so much of the internet we use every day, Stripe is positioning itself to be the foundational plumbing for this entire new ecosystem of custom currencies. I mean, this opens up some pretty wild possibilities, doesn't it? Are we really just one viral TikTok away from something like a Charlie coin? It's not impossible. But here's the flip side. With this kind of power comes enormous regulatory risk. Regulators in the US and Europe are watching stablecoins like a hawk. And if one of these tokens that Stripe is powering goes belly up, you can bet the headlines won't just be about the small startup. They're going to point the finger straight at Stripe. All right, that brings us to our third and final giant, Robinhood. And it looks like they're discovering that the grass might just be a whole lot greener and probably more profitable overseas. Let's call this the global gamble. So why the move overseas? Well, this slide really lays it out. Here in the US, these prediction markets, where you can bet on the outcome of pretty much anything, they're really boxed in by gambling laws and all kinds of regulatory turf wars. But you go overseas, especially to the UK and Europe, and the rules are, well, they're a lot looser. And that's exactly where Robinhood smells a massive opportunity.
The goal for Robinhood is crystal clear. It's all about creating what they call sticky user engagement. Think about it. If you can get users placing wagers on sports or elections, what are they going to do? They're going to be checking the app every single day. And that constant engagement, that's the real prize. It's supposed to act as a funnel to get people to trade more on their core platform. More stocks, more crypto. It's a pretty clever strategy, but boy, is it risky. But make no mistake, this is a huge gamble. This move completely blurs the line between finance and straight-up betting. And if anything goes wrong, if there's even a hint of manipulation, the fallout could be just immense. As one source put it, Robinhood could be the next DraftKings meets GameStop meme. And wow, that is a PR nightmare I'm sure they are desperate to avoid. Okay, so we've looked at these three pretty distinct stories, right? Nubank, Stripe, Robinhood. So what's the big picture takeaway? What connects all of this? Well, they're three very different moves, but they are all fueled by one common goal: aggressive, and I mean aggressive expansion. So let's just recap it real quick. You've got Nubank chasing legitimacy and, super important, cheap capital by trying to become a US bank. Then you've got Stripe playing the long game here, basically selling the shovels in the new stablecoin gold rush. And finally, Robinhood is going abroad, searching for that sticky user engagement and new revenue in places where the regulators might just be a little more friendly. When you put it all together, what these three moves really show us is that fintechs are literally redrawing the map of finance right in front of us. The lines that used to separate banking, payments, investing, and yet, even gambling, they're blurring faster than ever before. And that leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. As this new map gets drawn, who gets to hold the pen?